Okay, I am in for the energy report for May 22nd, 2022. I'll probably be a day, give or take, in there for editing purposes. But nonetheless, I'm wanting to get this out. I feel it is the right time. Though, the chaotic energies are still in the air, and they are still, trying to gain momentum. We're going to power through here. I've already lost my voice twice starting this out, and I've blocked that out. So now, I've got a ton of cards to get through, so I'm going to go right into it. So I'll just start. Okay, so the first Isis card we get is the Lunar Queen, of course. She of the Celestial Crescent. Again, you may have this deck. I am an energy reader, not necessarily a card reader. So I pull energy from cards, not from their book. So we'll just get a lot of instinctive stuff here. Now, whenever I get this card, it means that illusions are about. And not only that, we are in charge of sussing out those illusions to make them correct. Because there's a bit of a translation problem when it comes to seeing things in our vision, right? And they're showing me being in front of a stage watching a play. We know that this is a play, but there's some people that don't know it's a play. It seems like it's their life, this kind of thing. So we are in charge of sussing that out for ourselves. How do we do that? We go to our instinct. If we're not instinctive, research that shit. Get in there and start looking it up. If, people who are going to be in earshot of my readings are going to be on the instinctive side. We're going to want to lean in there. We're going to want to be curious about that. So just go where others won't. You have to be really curious about this stuff in order to make headway here. And the feeling is, if we're just kind of sitting back and being passive, we're not going to get anywhere. Especially when it comes to that illusory factor, right? The illusions in our life, we have to take an active practice in getting in there and shuffling through and deciding, are we in a theater or is this real life, right? So I feel like the Lunar Queen is still here casting her illusions over people. And for some people, they're waking up out of it. Some people, there goes my cat, sorry. Some people, she's going to say hello. Hello. If she says hello, I have to let her in. That's the agreement. She'll go, ow, row, ow, row. She'll, like, 2-syllable. I'll leave it be. So anyway, sorry. I have a connection with the cat, and you know how they train the cats and dogs with those buttons? Well, I'm training her telepathically. So I gotta be very strict on that. So when she says hello, wow, wow, that I gotta let her in, because that's her asking to come in. So I'm just highly tuning to that. I think she'll let me be. Because as soon as I stir up energy like this, she's always in here. She's got to be in here. And then she'll stay for a bit and then she goes out. Like it's just whatever. But I haven't done them in a while. So anyway, here we go. The Lunar Queen, right? The illusions are still here. We need to tap into our instinct to figure it out. If we're not depending on our instinct, we got to be careful because we're going to get tripped up. And I feel like this is a 5 out of 10. On the illusion scale. So those that are highly evolved in their intuitive sense, they will have an easier time sussing this out. It will be not a breeze, but we will get on the right side of it. But those that are not using their gut instinct and following that kind of path, they're really going to can have the ability to get tripped up quite heavily at this time. Is you got to remember, it's kind of like the water going down the drain. Suddenly it's going to be gone. And people are trying to scramble to get as much of that chaotic energy out while it's still, quote unquote, allowed, right? Because it's allowed because people are not using their instinct. And this is something, right? We got to think about that deeper. But anyway, we're going to move on to the next card here. The second in the Isis deck. the knot of Isis, which, brings in the kind of Ankh symbol here. Energetic stabilization with the buckle of the beloved. This is a very important card. Having to do with life. Our turning points at this time, our connection is spiritual energy that is not of the earth, connecting to all that is. This is what I'm getting from this card. And it's in the now, and it's in the most prime energy that is here to be read. I feel like it's very imperative that we connect to spiritual energies at this time. Now, again, if we're just tapping into this zone and we don't have a full grasp between right and wrong, we're just, it's going to be a bumpy ride through this. They're showing me 6 months here. I'm not sure if that's, but it may be 6 months until there's a frequency shift for whatever way, right? Geez, I hope not. But anyway, nonetheless, the knot of Isis. Give me a moment here. I'm seeing the hand on the left side of the graphic here. There's a hand and a snail. It looks to me like a snail. And it's almost like taking things slowly, especially when it comes to our intuition. Again, the ego rushes. The ego pushes. And anything that pushes you or rushes you is not of light energy. It is, it has a tendency to be more on the side of nefarious stuff. So if you're feeling rushed, if you're feeling pushed, if you're feeling shoved in any way, we got to look at our life here. There's people that could feel that, but for good reason, right? Because they're doing the bad things and they need to stop immediately, right? That's your instinct saying, giving you anxiety and whatnot. But at the same time here, when it comes to connecting to spiritual energies, being in and amongst spiritual advice, intuitive knowledge, gut reactions, take things on the slow side. We will not be in regret if we take things slow. This is what I'm getting. I never noticed that graphic per se on the left there, but that's really what they're saying, especially when it comes to our intuitive sense, right? And especially if we're on the borderline of trying to jump into that field and then all of a sudden we feel pushed to make all these decisions, these radical decisions. That's probably not your instinct, because your instinct should be with you, guiding you in a calm, collected manner, not saying go here, go there, and don't think, and you only have a moment. That's all like used car salesman stuff, right? Well, if somebody's interested, it's going to go off the lot. It's going to fly off the lot. Meanwhile, next week, the car's still sitting there. You know what I mean? Like, you got to watch who's trying to trick you. And even that can come in the form of not so much instinct, especially when it comes to the physical body, but your intuition, right? If you're not in grips with that. This is what I'm getting here. Okay. So as we move on to the next Isis card here, we get the miracle of Isis, miraculous healing of the goddess. Okay. And for some people, we're going to be making leaps and bounds here, even those that have been in darker energy, okay? The sense they're giving me is, if we have an inner core that wants to get away from this stuff, this is the people that, maybe they're surrounded by darkness and can't seem to find a way out. Well, the universe is going to give you a doorway. They're going to open you a doorway. You walk in and then suddenly you're out. Yeah, miraculous, miracles, right? Miracles that will create a new world, where once we had things like the upside down world is what they're saying to me. Things were never going right. Well, suddenly they can go, they're always going, how is it? Never going right. So now it's never going wrong. Like, you're always going in the right direction, this kind of thing. And I know in my life I've had that flip happen. And it comes in a series of waves. But the first wave was the most, how do you say, profound and like just life-changing. I was constantly crying because things were starting to go my way, and I was in a darkness. And again, this is energy that was stolen from me without my knowledge. But nonetheless, suddenly, veils were lifted and the energy was given back. And because of this, it can do a number on your psyche because, the world worked in a certain way. Now it doesn't. And that can go from negative to positive. So this is a good thing. And I'm getting a lot of that. I'm getting a lot of energy of people that actually may have been in the same scenario. They may have had dark, I know this sounds goofy, but dark forces having pulls against them, and now suddenly they no longer can do this, so they get their energy back. And what that entails is a life that is not such a struggle. It's not as hard. It starts to go in our way. And if you're used to mentally dealing with that, there's a shift that needs to happen in your brain in order to continue to allow this to happen. Because if you're constantly going, wait a minute, because that was the one thing I feel the need to discuss here. When my energy shifted over from negative to positive, and it wasn't because I was I was shooting out negativity because I was, I still don't know what happened there, but there was a negative energy field within. And I was struggling every day to not go out in a negative form. So it came to me in the form of deep depression and whatnot, and isolating from people. So I had fought that all my life. And when you come out of that, and suddenly the world is as it seems for other people, you can go about your business and you're not fighting a psychic war in the background. It's weird. When you're used to fighting for every piece of happiness you have, and suddenly the birds are singing and you're walking through a Disney movie, it's just crazy. It does a number on you. So you have to adjust. You have to adapt, because a lot of these, like I said in my podcast there, a lot of these darker energies are just losing their power and their momentum. And not only that, all the power that they did have is now going back to the natural source, right? That it was retrieved from. I'm saying retrieved, that's a very light word. That it was stolen from, frankly. So the miracle of Isis really does, and this is in the future energy, and maybe this is the 6 months, or over the period of time is 6 months, that this energy may unfold. There's something to do with the 6 months. Now, we're in May here, the 5th month, so that'll bring us into the, 11th month, close to winter in my hemisphere here. I'm in Canada. So, there is a big shift that happens. I feel the energy shift in the fall. It's kind of like a slowdown here, and I enjoy that because the summer is hyped up. And I'm actually enjoying that more than I ever have in my life at this point. But nonetheless, there is an energy switch within the seasons, right? That's your equinoxes and whatnot. Energetically, I'm learning to feel that, into that more. Or I'm just gaining the ability to do so, whatever. Now, give me a moment here. We have the masculine and feminine in this card. And again, they're making me aware of couples and pairing up with those that we feel safe and protected. Now, this, again, right? This could be part of that illusory factor that we're coming up from in the beginning here. The lunar queen, right? She's under the lightest part of darkness. So when the full moon is out, that's the most illuminated that the night will be, and the others will be, in pitch dark. So what they're saying is this will be a time where we will be able to see the illusions more clearly than normal, especially if we're not using our instinct. Okay? Those that are using their instinct, they're really not going to notice much of a difference. It's just going to be business as usual. We tap in, we figure things out, we move forward based on those intuitive decisions. Those that aren't using their intuitive nudges up until this point, it will be more of an illumination process here, is what I'm getting, right? And that'll be more miraculously seen, more miraculous change in our life, these kinds of things. And because of this, this is where the big leaps and bounds are going to be felt from. Okay. Now we're going to get into the second layer of cards. Again, forgive me if my cat starts crying. Hi, Nico. No comment. Do you want in? She has to say hello. Do you want in? Okay, she's just aware. Yeah. Sounds like she said yeah. Anyway, she didn't use the code word. And she's got the code word, she can use it. This is how I train. Okay, so me and my animals. So on the Lunar Queen, as we get into this energy, she of the celestial crescent, the illusions are still there, though they are only a level 5, where they could get up to level 10. They will be dissipating from here on in, is the sense that I get. So the card on top of that is the number 2, be patient. This is from the Messenger deck. Be patient. We have a dragon here. Purple, green. I don't know if that's green, but blue, green, purple, and yellow, golden dragon, right? In my world, dragons are there to protect you. They're there to help you. You can earn dragons as you go forward by your good behavior, by your attention to detail when it comes to dignified action, going by the laws of the universe. Not only that, laws of humanity, do unto others, this kind of thing. And especially in that spiritual world, they will reward you with the power and the vitality of these dragons. If we come from our dignified nature, our truth, and our wisdom. Now, I've never quite worded it that way, but we have a gemstone right in the center of the third eye of this dragon, and they're saying the gold. What is the gold? And right now, I'm getting in essence the gold is of the highest, right? They prize gold back in the day, right? Everybody's searching for gold. It's worth a lot of money. There's a lot of power and wealth in this. Now, yeah, that's why the illusion is here, is what they're saying. And I mean, this can be globally having to do with a lot of different stuff. So it's all about the gold. It's all about the money. And this is the illusion, right? The money is the illusion of the play that everybody's dancing around. And this is also the frequency change that needs to happen for the higher ups, because it's not the money, it's they're going to get flipped on their head. And this is the process that really is starting here. But again, we're trying to, and I'm getting like a money system, right? They told me barter system. This is, these are all different levels of currency and what is prized and what is worth, right? Monetary. Now give me a moment. They're going real heavy with this. Yeah, it's really trying. I feel like universal energies are just trying to get to the root of what matters, and it's not money. It's not the money system. It's not that. So this is, right? I mean, we see signs of the collapse of this all over the place, but how are we going to come out of that and flip that? Maybe in 6 months we'll get a clue. I don't know. They keep giving me the 6 month thing. I don't know this is the second card in this deck. Number 2, be patient. So what's going on here is the first card would be the beginning of a new path, right? A new way. I think what they're telling me here is monetary. There's a new way that's going to have to open up monetarily. I don't know. A new way, a new earning system is what they said. Earning system is different. There may be a frequency shift here. This may be what's in illusion. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on. I'm going to leave that there because I'm really not getting any more, and I don't know if I want to. Banks and that, I mean, that's pure evil right there. That's just pure evil. But anyway, as we go to the knot of Isis, right, the stabilization of the energy between, right, God and earth, like there's God or Christ consciousness, the energetic field, and you. That's the connection that wants to happen. On top of that card, we get number 55, I think, or 53. Respect your boundaries. Sorry about my chair. My boy broke my chair, so I can't. Respect your boundaries. Okay, another dragon. Yeah, and I mean, I was talking in my podcast about boundary making, and you know, you can create boundaries with people, but if they refuse to stand up to that, you know, what do you do at that point? And again, if you're stuck with these people, you have to make decisions and whatnot. So I feel like they're taking the energy back to this monetary, this gold dragon. Give me a moment. Looking upon the boundaries that the people will hold, okay? This may be more of a political thing I'm getting into here, but nonetheless, energy frequencies that are unfolding. And I feel instinctively people are finding ways or realizing ways or coming across ideas that we could utilize, but not taking action upon this. And the sense is that maybe we don't have the proper line to make things happen at this time, and the sense that they're giving me is be patient, because the time to act will appear, and when it does, we will be in no illusion at that time, because we're already opening up to fields here, and these people, again, making leaps and bounds in the positive manner, and once that happens, that's like a domino effect, this positive energetic chain of events, because once we have the advancement of souls start hopping on the, how do you say, they start hopping on the fast floating trains, okay, where they're going somewhere and fast, and they're looking for results and fast, this kind of thing. These there's an awareness that we learn fast. So again, I'm seeing the snail, but the boundaries, how do you translate? Yeah, there's a snail here. Let all of that stuff wash over you nice and slow, like a calm wave on the beach. But when the time is to act, that's when we charge with the horses or the carriages or whatever at that time. And the sense is we're going to know in congruence with everything. Our mind is going to know. We're going to kind of suss it out beforehand, because we're going to use our instinct, and we're going to go, if this were ever to happen, then guess what? This happens. So you jump in that boat and away you go, right? And it's not a paddle boat. It's not a kayak. It's a motorboat that's speeding out of all of this illusion, is the sense I'm getting. So I feel like that's the powers that be. Now, I say powers that be in a bad way, but I feel like now, right, the tables are turning, and the people that had lost their power in the past are now gaining their power back. And because of this, they are making headway in a new positive direction. Okay, on top of the miracle of Isis, the miraculous healing of the goddess, again, I'm getting partners and pairings of people. This could also be business partners, and not necessarily masculine, feminine mix. It could be feminine, feminine, masculine, masculine. People getting together in groupings of twos, right? Can be business partnerships, can be friendships, can be standing together. And then because of this, right, miracles can happen because of this, people coming together. We know where that leads. Okay, on top of that card, we get 44. Surrender to the flow. Right. And the sense is when that ladybug or the leaf hits that log, then the bug's gonna run, right? But right now we're just watching the flow, we're absorbing what's going on in our atmosphere, and we're waiting for the logs so that we can get off the water and go on to dry land, right? This is kind of what they're giving me here. And the miracle is knowing when to act and not hesitating on that at that time. And I feel like this is a futuristic thing. I feel like our time to act is not here yet, but it is coming swiftly, and we need to take in our intuition. We need to be wise in our surroundings at this time, because the time to act will be prominent, it will be strong, and there will be no doubt. This is what I'm getting. It feels very, very, not pertinent. Yeah, it's pertinent, but very, like, you will know, and I feel through every bone in my body, yes, you will know when it's time to act, and you will move, because it just, everything will be open for you, and you'll just see the clear highway all the way through, so away you go, right? This is the thing, there'll be no blockages, right? That's one of the clues, right? You have no blockages when you're going in the right way. Okay. So we're going to get into the third row here. We get into the wisdom cards. On top of being patient, again, be patient with all of this illusion stuff, because there's going to be a time to act on it. So on top of there, the wisdom card we get is the understanding card, yeah. 43. And the sense that they're giving me is we don't understand right now all the details. I mean, we can gather an educated guess, right? But at this point, there's a need for understanding this to a deeper degree than we are, and to inspect things a little closer. And again, let time pass, because there's maybe a few puzzle pieces that need to be in play here before we can move forward successfully. So be patient when dealing with this, okay? So respect your boundaries. What do we get there for the wisdom card? 49, an oath. Ooh. Hello. Knot of Isis. That's your connection to spirit. Respecting boundaries within. Give me a moment here. This is pretty deep. Because I feel like that oath, like either we took a silent oath, right? And depending on who you are and how you deal, in the 3D, in the 5D, or both, the sense they're giving me is there's people here that took an oath. They said they would do something from their will between you and God. And if you go back on it, it's you and God that knows. Some people, that don't mean nothing. But others, it means everything. And this is what they're showing me. Respect your boundaries. As you move forward, be careful. Our thought because some people here are going to back out of oaths that they made to their higher authority. And by higher authority, I don't mean earthly. I mean heavenly bodies that they look up to, whether it's God, Christ consciousness, whatever it is. That higher being that you feel is not in charge, but that runs the show here. I don't watch how I say that. Yeah. So oaths can be broken and they can be upheld, right? And it's those that, the heroes are the ones that make those oaths and go forward in them. They don't break them, even when they think no one's looking. They don't break them, because that's what makes your character. That's what makes you, you. So a need to respect your boundaries and what it is that you promise, not only yourself, but others outward. If you make a promise, keep it. And that is part of an evolution path here. To really, that's the borderline, is what they're showing me, right? Because those that can make a promise to, let's say, God, right? You make a promise to God, it's only you and God that have to stand up for that. And when you have dignity and you have morality, you go forward in that. When you don't have any dignity, you don't have any self-respect, you don't have any morality, then you can just break that and it doesn't matter, right? So this is what I'm seeing here right down the center. There's going to be people grappling with that. There's going to be people just running away from it. I know I made a promise, but I don't care. I'm not standing up for it. So this is the good and the bad side, really. That's all it is, right? Okay, as we move forward here. Surrender to the flow. So be aware of your prayer cycles. Be aware of how you speak to that presence that's outside of you. The one that you feel can pull you out of anything. Beware of that, of the promises that you make up in there, is what I'm getting. Now, surrendering to the flow, as we get on the wisdom card, we get 23, talking about listening. And again, there's the small print says, darkness does not always equate to evil, and light does not always bring good. And that is what is going to happen here, is we're going to have a crissing and crossing of these two energies, good and evil. Because one's going to pretend to be the other, and usually it's not the good. It's the evil guys pretending. That's the illusion, right? They're trying to pretend that they're all good and great and wonderful. They may be making promises that they can't keep, but again, it's nobody but them and God that is in charge of this. But the energetic frequency will come down no matter. Because, again, we're working from darkness. Okay, so there's a need to listen and be aware of not only what is coming from whoever it is that you believe in, God, Christ consciousness, whatever, the universal energies. Those energies coming down upon you and feeding you information, and that in which you put your faith, okay? There's a need to listen at this time, even though we may feel like we want to run. They're showing me like a scared rabbit, like just taking off, like darting away from something that we made a commitment to, okay? For fear, right? It's all about the fear. So there's a need to listen instinctively, because there will be clues there. Yeah, this illusion, right? There's an illusion of fear that they want to bring upon, and there will be signposts, there will be synchronicities, there will be little hints, but they're all instinctive. So if you don't work on an instinctive level, man, you're going to have problems again here. But nonetheless. Okay, as we move down, so yeah, listen to your instinct and listen to how you speak to that power that you put in charge of your faith. The oaths that you make, like you say, if you give me this, then I will do this. Be aware of that. Because, well, again, make sure you're connected to the right source. Understanding, we're going to understand through this process. Now, good or bad, right? If we choose the bad road, I had said before in a reading, you're just not going to get a second chance at that. It's multiple, what do you call that? Multiple choice, and you pick the wrong one, but that's it, right? You don't get a second chance to make that. Now, that's, how would you say, that energy unfolds in a way that it's not like you're just going to disappear, but in certain circles, things will disappear from you, okay? Okay, we're going to get into my Curious Creatures deck. I love this deck, and it's light and airy, so bring us back down to earth here a little bit with the animals. So on the Understanding card, what do we get? We get the Queen of Swords from the Creatures deck, and she is the boundary maker. She is the queen that stands in her decision and will not let anyone pass until they say the password, the correct password, in respect of the queen, right? So Yeah, this is the boundary maker. Now, I feel like what they're telling me here is that these illusions will start to be seen for what they are. The truth will start to be seen behind the facade. And not only that, we'll be able to make our decisions based on this as we go forward and limit the amount of abuse or manipulation, if you will, that will come forward. I feel like this is a boundary against being an illusion any longer. So the Queen of Swords is bringing her energy front and center there. And again, the wisdom of the owl that they put in there, right? So that's a lot of thought, a lot of, like these owls, they sit all day long and they look and they're very focused. Their vision is high. I mean, they can spin their head around 360, so there's nothing that they miss, right? They see everything. They see the truth of everything. And then when they need to act, then they swoop in and boom, it's done. Like things are done. Not very often that we get a mistake coming out of this Queen of Swords, especially with that owl energy. The Peacock says, I'm very confident in how I come forward here because I know the truth and I know the boundary, and you cross my boundary, you cross my sword. And you decide how that happens. Da da da. This is what I'm getting from this queen in her blue. Her blue, right? Which is speaking of truth. Likely, like she's sitting in, it's like almost a teal blue dress, which means I speak my truth quite strongly. And then she's also seated in a light blue chair, which says to me, I can also be light and carefree with people that I trust in front of me. And people that I don't, I'm very quick to turn my voice on and tell you there's a boundary here. And if you meet it, you can come forth in my softer energy. If you don't, you get my harsher dark blue energy with my purple around my neck, symbolizing the connection, right? I'm going nuts with this. Symbolizing my connection is spirit and other worldly things that we just can't see, taste, touch, and feel, right? It's all intrinsic. So there's a lot of wisdom from this Queen of Swords. She's yielding her truth as she goes forward and creating boundary, which is good because that means no longer will we put up with things, right, in our field. And we don't need to. We're going to make that other person aware of the boundary and blah, blah, blah. Okay. As we get on the Oath card down the center here, what's the creature card there? We get the Page of Swords. So we're staying in that element of truth and knowledge and things going on in our head, right? The books are flying, so that's the symbol of knowledge as well. And the hummingbirds, again, that's the speed, right? They're super fast. They don't have a lot of endurance, right? They got to come back and feed off the sugar water to go back and, and this is constant through the day. They got to take breaks and come back. But the pages are messengers. The swords is of truth, and it can be also of information. It can be information that is double-edged. Usually the swords, the Page of Swords is information that has a cutting side to it. And the page can be irresponsible with, well, I'm going back to my deck, but they can hit you with words that are kind of cutting, is the sense. They're making me put that energy back on respecting your boundaries. So be careful of the boundaries you set. Now, the Queen of Swords, that's a different energy. I'm getting a sense of people who are kind of in the way of not standing up for their integrity or not doing integral things like kind of falling back on their word, this kind of thing, like breaking oaths. This is what I'm getting. I think that's what they're saying is respect what energy even your thought process going, if this happens, this. And it was funny because my dad had told me a story. He had entered a draw at work. And in his head, the draw, he said, you know what? because I was going through a rough time at that time in my life. I was younger. I was in my 20s. And he had said in his head, you know what, if I win this money, this you put in, everybody puts in a little bit and then they draw it at the end or whatever. And if I win this money, I'm going to give it to my daughter because she's in need. That's what he said. And yes, he won the money. And yes, he stood up for that he did. Now, he could have left and put that money in his pocket or bought, whatever, and not said a bloody word. But he let us all in on that, and he says, yeah, no, I said I would give it to you, and that's the reason I got it, was meant for you. And that just blew my mind. That just blew my mind. But those are the moments, right, between you and God. You made God a promise, so boom, you get the money, and guess what? If you back out, guess who's not getting any more prayer energy, right? Guess who's not? Because not only does it feed your own energy field, but it feeds another, right? And that's the thing, and I think that's why my dad's had such a good go of things, is because in his integrity, he's solid. Like, he'll stand up for those things. And it's people that are on the opposite end of this, that are wavering or trying to build self-respect but can't seem to do it, or don't do it because they don't have the self-worth, this kind of thing. This is what we're talking about. These people. Respect your own boundaries and the boundaries you set with your spiritual partner, whoever that may be. Meaning, not a spiritual partner on the earth, but a spiritual partner in the ethers. Your God. What promises are you making to him? Please don't break them. This is what I'm getting. Okay? So the Page of Swords is that. That's that irresponsible. Like, we can flit off in a direction and then just lose our oath that we made in our head to God. But this is, at this time, this is very important for the frequency of the earth, for the frequency of others in your community, for the frequency of others in your family. It's overcoming negative energies, and if you're contributing to it, guess what? It's going to be a harder struggle, and it could affect more than just you in your lineage. Okay? So the Page of Swords is talking about this. The double-edged is, we can keep our oath that we made to God, or we can go against it. Nobody's going to know but you. And that's the thing. That's your character. That's your dignity. That's where you come from. So I would suggest that you do that, because the more that you do that, the more self-worth you gain, and the better things become in your life. Because your integrity, nobody can take that away from you. People try. Well, they try. But, when you build that, it's obvious. Okay, as we go on to listening, again, listen to your guides. Listen to, if you're in touch with guides, listen to your instinct if you're in touch with that. There's a sense of needing to listen closely as we move into the future, because the time to act will be prevalent. It will be seen. And we need to act when we said we were going to act. Because all this energy of saying, well, if this happens, this. So all these promises that you're making to the universal force here, they're going to act on that. And if the bottom drops out, guess what? So does your life plan. Okay, so here we go. So on top of the listening, we get the Knight of Cups. And don't you know? This is the heartfelt center. It's interesting, all these characters. We had a queen, a page, and a knight. The queen is solely in her position. She has created a boundary. And it may be a personal boundary with you and friends. It could be a personal, or like a boundary between you, someone at work, or in your family, or just something you decide you're going to take a stand on. That's very heavy energy there. Page of Swords, again, that's energy that can flut here and there. Moment to moment. Forget about it. Don't worry about it. Don't follow up. These are flagrant is what they're giving me. What does that word even mean? Flagrant is kind of like a passing energy. Just give me a minute. Yeah, it's proper. Flagrant is like wrong or immoral. Conspicuously, obviously offensive, blatant, or glaring. So that's correct. They give me these words. I don't even know what they are. But anyway, the Page of Swords can do nefarious stuff without being in a mode where they really understand the consequence of their actions. So the Knight of Cups would be kind of the opposite of that, in a sense. The Knight of Cups is following his emotional side. He's not the opposite of the Page of Swords. He's got more experience because he's a knight, not a page. And he's learning how to use the heart in the way of emotional feelings and whatnot. He is not the king, so he does not have a solid partner. But he is willing to go out there and search and look for a good partner on the emotional side. He's gripping quite tightly to that horse's mane. What they said is he doesn't want to get bucked off. Okay, so whatever that means. But the sense here is that we really do. This is coming on the listening, right? I mean, 2 and 2, right? The Knight of Cups needs to listen to their heart. And again, it's with our heart that we will decipher. We always make the wisest decisions coming from our heart. When we cut our heart out, right, we can be in suffering and regret and whatnot. So there's a Knight of Cups going forward, a Queen of Swords standing in her power, and a Page of Swords is kind of like the sitting on the fence. I could go this way or that way. Which way am I going to go? Okay. So there is, Knight of Cups energy looking into the future, trying to utilize that heart center. Okay, we're going to get into the dragon energy. And on top of the Queen of Swords and the understanding and the boundary making and taking a stand, what do we get there for dragon? The fire dragon burns up the lower energies around. Isn't that something? You're safe and protected, so be determined and inspired and clear your soul pathway. This is interesting to me because at this time it's very congruent to where I'm at, which is really noticing the negativity around you and deciding to release from it, not be a part of it. Whether you were inadvertently a part of it or because you could be around negative influences and not do negative things, but they still pull your frequency down. And this is kind of what I'm getting here. The fire dragon is creating that barrier. It's going one step forward from the Queen of Swords. She knows intrinsically. She stays there, stoic, in a sense, ready to discuss if someone tries to cross. This fire dragon is taking action to remove. He's burning shit up, man. He's going in there and removing that which is of a darker nature. So there's a whole bunch of levels this can hit on. But again, this is past energy, but it is kind of like past into now. We're really in acknowledgement of what is not good around us and separating ourselves from that quite strongly. On the Page of Swords, the dragon card we get on there is the golden, staying with the gold, Atlantean dragon. This is a pretty card and very soft energy I get from here. It says, helps you remember the wisdom of the golden Atlantis. Awaken, bring back your knowledge, gifts, and talents, and reclaim your mastery. And for some, right? For some, we have made oaths upon gifts, meaning, if you give me this, I will give you that. Now, again, this has to be proven energetics in the energetic field. So you can't just say, I'm going to do this, and then in your mind, you're going to weasel out of it. You have to make action in a positive manner in order to get rewarded with these things. Now, there will be people in this way, is what they're saying. And there will also be people in this way gaining heavy gifts, but also hearing harsh truths outside of them, right? So the realization, again, of people around us that are negative, we may have been in illusion that they're positive. And now suddenly they're negative. That's a harsh truth. That's something that's cutting that we don't want to hear. But nonetheless, we're going forward in our new knowledge, and we're going to reclaim mastery over what we have now learned, is what I'm getting. Yeah. For some people, I feel Like some people are praying that they don't realize anymore because it's like they can't handle the flip that the universe has done here. Because the sense they're giving me is we're yearning for truth in our soul, and now when it's showing outside of us, we're like, no more, I can't handle. This is what I'm getting. So there's a sense of that on a deeper level. There's people, and this could go through all fronts here. Humanity as a whole, right? There's levels of people in power, people not in power, people that we befriend and people that we make enemies. And a lot of this, we will really start to see through illusions that once really had us in their grips, is what they said. We were in their grips, like we truly believed things were a certain way, and they flipped. So this golden Atlantean brings a sense of, what I'm getting is a sense of compassion as they come forth here. And that blue crystal, they don't tell me what that crystal is, but I'm getting a sense of, is it angel aura they call it? I'm going to have to look that up and post it on my communities tab. There's a gemstone there. And the sense is, it connects you with angelic realms in order to help you gain compassion so that you can heal through some kind of hurtful emotional process. And that's what I'm getting here, right? So remembering wisdom of the Atlantis while awakening, bringing knowledge, gifts, and talents. So there's a reward here for things that are going to take a lot of compassion to get through. Okay. I'll leave it at that. Now the third, on top of the Knight of Cups energy, what's the dragon we get there? Orange gold dragon. Again, gold. Wow. From Arcturus. And this dragon opens you to the knowledge for the new golden age. And what are we talking about? New process. We're at the beginning of the phase of new energy coming in. Again, things not as we see them. Illusions being, what's the word? Dispelled. And it says here, carry the energy of the future and be a guiding light. And really, when we're talking about what's the decision I should make no matter what, it's just be an example of what you want. Because like I was at a frustrating zone in my life here, and I went back 2 steps and have yet to go forward 1 step. But what they told me was, we just need to be what we want instead of reprimanding people for what they aren't, right? We just need to be what we are. And be that guiding light. If others don't know which way to go, show them the way to go. Be that way to go, right? And that's, again, coming from heart, compassion, and whatnot, which is like the basis of everything that they say. And I saw this video the other day, or was it a reader? I can't remember now. I've watched a few things lately and I'm getting it all mixed up. But they're talking about the compassion that you can feel. Maybe it was a near-death experience. I don't know. But it was like someone was put in a position where they felt such compassion that it overwhelmed them to a degree that they almost couldn't relate to. But yet they're feeling it, right? Because either they had some kind of profound experience. I think it was a near-death thing. And because of that, it's just that one little touch of it can help you go forward in a different way, where you look at things in a different way. And I mean, I'm not I don't run my life from compassion 100% of the time. I just don't. I can be quite cold and callous. But, when you're trying to save your own self energetically, there's times where you need to fight, and there's times where you need to defend, and there's times where you need to go outward in that compassionate energy. And I think what they're saying is that in the future, all of this stuff that we can no longer handle the truth of, this is when we're going to need our compassion the most. Because there's going to be a lot of hurtful, where we can turn on vengeance and be the most angry of angers, you know. But what good is that going to do? We've come from an era of realizing that does no good. So now we're flipping gears and we're going to come into, you know, a golden age of compassion. And I'm saying that kind of sarcastically, but I do feel like we will grow into this because we kind of will evolve. And like I said, all you need is one instance to touch your heart and it just opens stuff up. Like it just opens doorways and gateways that just weren't there. And like one of the days, I had a rough day at work. Me and then another co-worker. Like just like everything was frustrating us and everything was, you know, we just couldn't get ahead of it, couldn't get on top of it. I'm like, geez, I'm an energy work. Like what is going on? So I just, whatever. Then, and actually it had been building for a few days. And I was praying. I said, can you please give me something to hang on to here? Something to give me some grace that I can rise above this. Because it's pulling, right? And so we're working away at work and kind of getting, you know, dragged down by negative energy. And then all of a sudden this couple walks into the mall. It's a smaller mall here, by the way. But with these puppies. Now, when you're having the worst bloody day of your life and you bring in two little puppies that don't even have their eyes open, like these kind of puppies, they're just a big ball of fur, right? And it just instantly melted away. This is how quickly we can dissipate. This is how quickly we can jump into our compassion. This is how quickly. But do we do that with human beings? We don't. We can do it with little kitties and little puppies and little things, babies, but we don't do it with other humans. So this is what I see. I see something coming on. I hate to say, but it's a big energy flux. I say flux, but I feel like a I don't know, not a drop. I don't want to scare anybody, but it is going to be shocking, and it is going to be like I feel very quickly come about. Like we're not going to have a warning. It's just going to be out there. And, you know, one moment you didn't see it and the next moment you did and your life's changed forever. This kind of thing because of it. These kind of things is what I see. But we will have more than enough knowledge base in our heart centers if we choose to use them to deal with this compassionately. And for those that choose not to, that will be a very prickly ride. Okay, so I'm going to move forward here. We got more cards. I can get into this energy and just keep blowing, but we're going to move on. Okay, so the fire dragon, again, releasing from all the negativity that is around and removing ourselves from it. Creating heavy barriers. On top of that, the conscious spirit card we get is 28 release. Yes, I release that which does not serve my higher purpose with gratitude and love. And this is what I am consciously working on at this time. And I'm having a hard time releasing. And just this energy that they just rerouted me into the love area and puppies. Now I see is the same. It's all we have to do is release the negativity on our own. It's that quick. One moment we have it, the next moment we don't. But, you know, for ego reasons or for whatever it is that is holding on, we can get stuck in this. So again, you know, this is all on this past energy, the Queen of Swords, the dragon that's creating that boundary. And the release of the actual. So we're creating a fire boundary around us to, you know, and that could be anything from, you know, telling a friend, like, if you're going to talk that way about someone else, I don't want to hear it. And then, you know, standing up for that. Or if you're going to, degrade someone, maybe you should talk to that someone and not me, this kind of thing. Creating that boundary so that we can release it to its rightful owner. Like, instead of, because a lot of what I've been doing lately is coming home and then I go have coffee with my dad and it's like, it all just comes out on him. And he's like, you feel better now, dude? And it's like, yeah, I shouldn't. But I don't know how to release it properly. So this is what I'm learning. So that's the release card. It's here and it's in our past. So again, as long as you're doing that appropriately, or if you're not, just course correct and do that, we can release that energy and let it go. And there will be good consequences that come from that. I don't know if you can say consequences in a good connotation. Yes, you can. There'll be good consequences. So the next row here, the energy that's right down the middle, again, people can sway off their word. They can be on the fence of whether they want to keep their word or move in a different direction. The golden Atlantean dragon helps you remember that wisdom of the golden age, I'm going to say. It'll help you awaken and bring knowledge, gifts, and talents, and so you can reclaim mastery over thyself, over whatever you want. Okay? So the conscious spirit card on top of that is bright red. 32, movement meditation. Okay, is taking action. Taking action on our gifts and talents that we learn internally, which would be instinct, higher self, third eye, action, intuitive knowledge, intuitive nudges, gut reactions, all of this. I celebrate and honor my physical body through dance and movement. And the sense that I'm getting here is be moved. Allow yourself to be inspired. And then once you're inspired, take movement and action on that. Right? But slow down long enough to realize what you truly are in search of. Because the movement in meditation means nothing if we go out frantically in it. And it was interesting to me because last week I had an energy within me I just could not shake. And in fact, it was all over me. It was almost like I just felt like I was out of myself. And I was just frantic. I was going here to there. I was trying to I needed to make a decision and I needed to make it now. And I couldn't release from this. And it got to a fever pitch that one day where I oh man, I was so close to making a decision at that point. But then I went home and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what is going on here? Your energy is out of control. What the heck? I didn't even know it needed to be reined in until it was, pretty much done with. So again, be careful of what you make movement on. Meditate, slow yourself down enough so that you make wise decisions. And there's no chaotic motion here. It's dance and movement in a graceful way, right? This is what I'm getting. So slow your life down. Just because we need to take action doesn't mean that we have to do it in a frantic manner. There's a graceful way, and there's also a graceful collection of energy that we can do through meditation, through gut, through sitting and really listening to our soul as to what we want and what we need to take action on. This kind of thing. This is what I'm getting. So this is all good. Okay. On the orange and gold dragon from Arcturus, the conscious spirit card we get on top of there is transformation. And look at this, how dark this card is. And the sense here is, it's number 3. And it says, I journey within to meet my higher self and find true happiness. And isn't that what it's all about, right? Higher self is essentially the middleman between you and all that exists, like the all that is, the universal energy, God force, Christ consciousness, whatever, right? All of that energy up in there. Trying to connect to it. And I feel like there are some that are going to be going through high transformative things, like life-changing decisions. In fact, the way they used to live, there's going to be nothing in their future that resembles that to this degree, but it's going to be to the best, for your highest good degree. it's beyond measure, and also beyond what they could have fathomed or what they could have wanted for their life. Yeah, like a complete switch over. So I'm going to go back to the dragon, the orange and gold from Arcturus, the knowledge from the golden age. And I feel like it's interesting because they're both holding this wand with some kind of a gemstone in it, in a form or another. And that really symbolizes to me the faith in something other than the self, right? And that will connect them. That energy, that stick will connect them, beam them up to that energy whenever needed, is really what I get. And the need to know to search for it. The need to, not the need, but the wisdom to know to look for this instinct, to look for a deeper meaning, to look, not to just accept things and illusions as they are, is to look deeper, dive deeper, not only into self and how we look, listen to what your surroundings are telling you, the subtle, it's in between the lines that we figure it out. It's not going to be obvious, right? And that's the thing. If we read between the lines and we are coming from heart, the wisdom will open up, the knowledge will come, and not only that, the transformation will happen. And then it is then that I journey more so within and continue that relationship with the higher self to find your true happiness. And that's the path, right? It's all the path. Okay. So I brought in the above and below cards to just kind of ground us out here, because we're flying quite high. I am anyway. So the above, is it the above green? No, these are the below cards. So to bring us right down to earth, on the release card, right? All of this energy of boundary and releasing what does not serve. We have the 14, the temperance. So this is like, here we have, a couple, and they're indulging in cake, cookies, everything. They're just going all out. And the sense they're giving me is a lushness, a lush lust for life. We are going to indulge in life on levels that are pleasurable, that beyond what we could have or would have thought as a goal in the past. Temperance, I feel, has nothing to do with holding back at this point. I feel like now we can truly indulge in that which is truly pleasurable and not on the devil's side, right? Because there's the devil's card in this deck is someone eating cake and eating cake and eating cake, right? Cake and eat it too. Where there's no break. There's no, and here we have a slice. You have a slice, I have a slice. You have a meal, I have a meal. I have a wine glass, you have it's all in equal balance, right? It's all, and it's all still making us happy. We don't have to overindulge. We don't have to gluttonize in order to be fulfilled, right? That is of the devil. So this is good, because we release negative energy, and therefore we can truly feel happy, is really what I get from that on the 3D earth, okay? So now movement, meditation, the action, ancient wisdom that will come forth for most people that indulge in this. We get the Ace of Swords here on the grounded earth, and that is about the truth. Right down the center. Watch, the tip is sharp. That's what this little angel's telling me. The tip is sharp. Be careful where you wield that thing. The truth can cut. It can hurt. And we've got 2 cards here that symbolize that. And 2 cards that are telling us, prepare for that. It is going to hurt. But if we heal and we use our compassion, we use our compassion wisely with others that are worthy. Or even, just people, period. Using compassion where once we used anger, this kind of thing is what they're giving me. That's the Ace of Swords. A need to see the truth, but it's not going to be a fun ride, right? This kind of thing. Okay. Transformation, again, the orange and gold, the knowledge. A need to listen from the heart. on top of that card, oh, what do you know? We get the devil card. I was just saying. Overindulgence, the ice cream, the sugar, it's all... Give me a moment. We have the temperance and the devil. To me, these are two sides of the same coin. Temperance is living your life in enjoyment in a balanced manner. The devil is overindulging to a degree that we are not in balance. Period. Okay? And the truth is right down the center. So this is the scenario for some people. They're going to have to get in balance with their life in order to go forward in their truth. That will. And for those that are, you know, in overexposed energy is what I say, or wanting to overindulge in things and not wanting to balance their life out, there will be transformations happening there as well. Okay, interesting. On top of the 15, the temperance, because again, that was the below cards. So we have the pagan cards in between because they have a lot of spiritual energy that can come out. On top of the temperance, what do we get? Small indulgences, yeah. The Six of Cups, which is kind of like the family card, having happy. It's not like the party in New York on midnight, you know, on New Year's Eve, but it's the quiet dinner party where we're all in the backyard, the fire's burning, and we're all intimately in conversation and happy and groovy. It's not, you know, the popping of the champagne bottle where everything's flowing and people are just yelling and screaming. It's not that, but it's the small indulgences, okay? Keep that in mind as you go forward as well. The energy, okay? So the next, on top of the Ace of Swords here, again, truth and clarity. It's cutting truth, but it needs to be heard, needs to be seen, it's going to be seen, and it needs to be confronted with compassion. On top of there, we get the Four of Cups, yeah, which is the disappointment again, right? There's disappointment here in the truths that we find out in the future, and this can run from politics to media to like everywhere, right? There's going to be the disappointment, and we're just going to have to heal and deal with that. And that's just part of the learning process. If we move forward and transform, we need to go through this disappointment in order to do so cleanly. Otherwise, we just keep staying in that stagnant energy. So, on top of the devil, what do we have there? The Elder of Wands, so confronting obstacles. Give me a moment. The fire is burning. He's got that wands in his hand, and look at all the wands here that people are holding. And what did I say? I said it's a feeling of being connected to something other than self. It could be a reward that was given to them for service to another, right? It could be that crystal in that wand could be from the transformation card. Could be, you know, like a rank thing. Like I've accomplished things in dignity and truth, and therefore I've gained a crystal. And da-da-da. For some, this is a foreboding that there will be heavy obstacles. If we're sitting on the fence and we choose the devil's side, right? The overexposed side, the indulgence side, too much, where it's not in balance, I feel like those are where the obstacles will lie. If we choose to not straighten our life out and balance the flow, if we can't get that balance, we're going to have a lot of obstacles coming in our path. So the last three here, and then we'll get into a planetary and animal card. On the Six of Cups, again, small indulgences, we have to learn how to balance out. It's not about, I'm seeing a big ego guy like, yeah, celebrating with the beer and everything. And again, it's in the moment, right? But the next day he's suffering and really he's like, he's got a problem with, you know, all that he's indulging in and blah, blah, blah. If we just enjoy things in moderation, it's more enjoyable on a deeper level, right? Okay, this is what they're getting at. Okay, so the above card we get here is Pluto. The Nine of Fire, talking about logical conclusion. So again, if we're overexposed in this area, we're going to be not reprimanded like God's going to come down and, tap your fingers, but we're going to feel on a deeper level an imbalance there. Even though we may not acknowledge it and we are feeling it instinctively now, we could put it off to a degree, but it's going to get harder and harder to go back to the same patterns and do the same things and feel the same way. Because we used to feel, what do you call that? Like, not rewarded, but we used to feel good about where we were and what we were doing. It used to fulfill us. It no longer does such. Why? Because our soul is yearning for balance. Because the earth is yearning for balance. Because the energetic frequencies are trying to balance out. So therefore, everything on the earth is going to feel off if they go either way. If they underdo it, they feel like they need to do more to get in balance. If they overdo it, they're going to feel like they have to do less in order to get in balance, because you're just going to feel it. Okay. On top of the disappointment, again, there's a lot here, that the truths that need to come to light, and it's not going to be easy to take. It's disappointing, to say the least, but it's going to scar, but we'll heal and move forward. On top of that, we get the Mother of Earth talking about a rich harvest. If we do this, they're going, it's all in due time. And there is a sense of trying not to overwhelm, though truth is the truth. And if we've avoided it, then it's going to be overwhelming. If we have set these things aside, it is going to be a slap in the face. So this is what I get here. Rich harvest, this is what can come to you if we accept the harshness with the truth, with the scarring, this kind of thing, if we accept that in balance. Because there will be some people that are going to be in denial, that will say, well, my friend didn't betray me. They're going to get betrayed by them again. And they're going to get it again. And again, these things are trying to balance out in certain energy. So the rich harvest, I feel, is for those that choose the right path. And on an emotional level, choose to heal the disappointments or work with them in order to balance that out within, right? And not be in denial of any of it. So as we move on to confronting obstacles, again, the devil's in the last row here as a possibility that he can win some people over. He's not going to win everybody, but he can win those that are overindulgent and can't control, don't want the transformation into the positive cycle. There are those that will go in that way, and when they go in that way, their life will be full of obstacles, just insurmountable is what they said. So the above card we get on top of confronting obstacles is the Four of Water, talking about personal healing. And the way to get through those obstacles is through personal healing. And that transforms you to become closer to the higher self and also closer to your true happiness and realizing this. So there's some people here that are still on a journey of self-healing. That may be, because what I'm getting is that we may be using, and there's many ways to do this. I've realized here, I've had things happen just recently where avoidance, if we want to avoid something, there's many ways you can do it. It's not just drug and alcohol, right? There's video games that take you out of reality. There's putting your head in a phone and not being able to talk to a room of people. Choosing that instead of your reality, that can be very, unhealing. It can be very stunting for your spiritual growth. But for some people, that's all that matters, is what's coming through that screen. And they don't feel a need to go outward. And in fact, they may be so scared of going outward that that is their world that they're stuck in. And that is a loop that they just may not get out of. Because when you're, and I mean, we all do that to a certain degree. You come home, you turn the TV on, maybe you had a bad day, right? And you just don't want to process, so you turn the TV on, you put, Love Boat, whatever. It was Love Boat, you put it on, and then you just kind of, your emotions kind of settle, right? So that is a form of avoidance, right? It's a form of that. But at some point, you know that, okay, I got to process this, or what happened here? What, you got to analyze your day and think, okay, am I going to have a better day tomorrow, or just going to reboot and forget about, not deal with anything, this kind of thing. So there's a lot of personal healing for those that are in the devil's cycle, I'll say. It's not like I believe in the devil per se. There's a good and a bad way that we can go outward in our energy. And those that go outward in, conniving, cheating, or manipulative ways, those guys are, what I say, listening to the devil on the shoulder instead of the angels, right? Taking the high road. There's people that just don't want to take that. They don't want to. And they got to learn either the hard way, or they're just going to stay in that loop and serve that side of things, and they just don't get anywhere. So that's kind of the same cycle that's, I wouldn't say reiterating, because I haven't done a lot of readings here, but it's really, sussing out the good from the bad here on all levels. And I mean, when I think of that, I think of politics. Is weeding out the good from the bad and bringing in that which is for our highest good, not for their highest good, that kind of thing. So I feel like that might apply there as well. So as we get into the planetary and animal, I'm going to do the planetary card first. It's kind of an overall general energy that I can plop on here and see if it can help us through this next while till my next energy frequency reading. So the planetary card we get is the Sun in Virgo, and Virgos are solid, man. They have an intrinsic nature that creates balance. I feel like there's a lot of Libra energy I'm getting from trying to explain a Virgo here. So maybe you're a Virgo, I don't know. But you reap what you sow. Number 6 is the number. The Sun is full on energy in Virgo. Virgos like things planned out. They like things solid. They don't like heavy waves. They just want, there's a few surface waves are okay, but don't rock the boat, right? This is what a Virgo's saying. And endeavor is the word they give you. Now, this guy's on a plow. He's going through the field, doing his thing with his grandchild or whatever in tow. And the sense is, I put a lot of hard work and effort into this. I've watered it, I've fertilized it, I've cleaned it, the sun has shone on it, and now I am coming in to reap the harvest of what I've put a lot of work and energy into. And the sense is the same, whether you're listening to that angel or you're listening to the devil. The sense is you will sow what you reap. So what you put out into the universal energy, and I'm hearing this reflected everywhere, you will get back. And if you refuse to learn from it, you will have a lot of blockages in your life and a lot of things that will be insurmountable to overcome. But the Sun in Virgo, the sun is shining here, and he's gathering his harvest, right? So for some people, that is just the way that things are going to go. That's pretty basic. It's full on energy. It's about harvesting, taking on, being in an endeavor, and being responsible for what you reap, what you sow, that kind of thing. So the animal, what do we get for the animal energy? 23, the raven. Right away, I think there's the devil. It's like the Sun in Virgo would be the angel, and the raven is the possibility that we could listen to that crow on our shoulder. Not that ravens are bad. Ravens can be good spiritual, messengers. But the sense here, the darkness, the moon, right? The illusion. It's all in there. 3 and 2 is 5. Again, sitting on the fence, right? And then Virgo is 6. So taking that step into the light. Interesting how these cards unfold. Now the wording they put underneath this is news. So again, be aware how news can affect you for the good or bad. If you never heard this news, would you still be continuing in the energy that you are now? There's a sense they're telling me here. Somebody may get news, cutting news over this time that could change, is life changing. And not only that, but we may need to look at it from a vantage point of removing ourselves from that information for a bit. How would I go and continue if I didn't know this news? How would I have gone? What was the trajectory? Just to acknowledge this. Because for some people, they're giving me a sense, I would have went down this road no matter, the news or not news. And then for some people, there's a split. It's like, oh no, I would have went down this road. But now that I heard this news, I'm going to go down this road, another road. So there's maybe for some people a need to look at that from a higher perspective or a vantage point here that we may be too enmeshed in this kind of thing. Nonetheless, there's a transformation about to happen, and there's light and dark energies here in illusion. Go with your gut, and whichever way that you are in, and again, if we're listening to dark energies, we just got to fall out of that. We got to fall out of that. Not necessarily fall, but release that quite highly. And if we're not prepared to do that, then we be prepared to, they're saying, what, adversity? Confront adversity, is what they said. So, yeah. It's all about proof is in the pudding, that kind of thing. Your actions will speak louder, this kind of thing. This is what I'm getting. So there's news coming in. Virgo's pretty solid. They can deal with whatever comes at them in a balanced manner. And the sense is that they will, and they will continue to do so in the future. But again, be aware of the light and dark within. Just really obvious split here. And that energy really is still here. This is kind of the energy that it was lightly feeding from the last. It's like the dark and light. It was kind of in the background, and there was other stuff in the front. But now it's very much in the forefront. And not only that, is a warning that there will become a time where there is a need to act, and those from the heart and those from of love and compassion, as they go forward, will know when to act if they follow their instinct. Again, using compassion. So anyway, that is the energy report. I'm going to try and have that out for you as soon as possible. Again, with the editing process here, I'm just going to do the card graphics. We'll see how long that takes me to get through. But take care, guys. Have fun and be kind. Hopefully this helps someone in some way. I feel like there's a Virgo here needing some info. Give me a moment. This personal message is what I get here. Yeah, needing validation. Someone's needing Virgo out there. I'm feeling a masculine. May need validation for the path that they're on. And the sense that we're getting here is I need validation, and I don't quite trust those outside of me to make that decision, but I don't quite trust myself with my instinct as of yet. Give me a moment. I'm getting an R. I don't know, R may be significant in your name or something here. First name or last name. The energy dropped. Nonetheless, if you're needing a validation point, basically the sense is someone's yearning for answers here, maybe just for this reading, because it really is out of the scope of what I would normally do, and I was pressed to do it because somebody out there, maybe just one person, by my numbers, it could be just one person needing this information, and for whatever reason, a validation point is just to symbolize that there is something out there. And yes, they contact your guide contacts my guide, and my guide saying, we have a personal message for someone with a significant R's in their name, and they need validation that there is some kind of connection out there. But in the meantime, they truly have it on their own. They're just not trusting their own intuition. But nonetheless, I will come out here in the next while and do some more. I think what I'll be getting into is masculine and feminine energies and splitting that down the center and seeing what happens. We'll get into that and see if that's any different, having to do with the dark and light. It's just really the fight of the dark and light at this point, quite heavily. And once the dominoes start falling, and I mean they have to a certain degree already, but once the dominoes start lining up in the correct manner, the frequency and transformations can be huge, even for those that are on the fence. So take care, have fun, and be kind. Hopefully this helped you figure some kind of things out. And for the R person, just slow it down, stretch it out, and listen on a deeper level than the ego, or listen on a level that's not shouting at you, but a level that is compassionate and kind. And that level is the level you need to be on, and maybe that's just an introduction we need to fight for at this point, because we may not be hearing it clearly. So take care, have fun, be kind, and we will talk to you soon.